Overseas Chinese returnees lament intense negativity and despondency among youth. China's public utility fees rise, public under great pressure. Microsoft plans to relocate 800 engineers from China to Ireland. CCP's borrow a boat to go to sea strategy, using money to corrupt US media. Hua Chunying promoted to Deputy Foreign Minister, CCP's diplomatic moves attract attention. It's all covered in today's China Truths. Overseas Chinese returnees lament intense negativity and despondency among youth. A Chinese Canadian named Kevin recently went back to China and was shocked by what they saw. The economy was tanking, the housing market was dead, and the young people looked completely defeated. Contrast with the elderly seemed energetic and content. They even saw people taking their own lives almost every day out of despair, leading him to lament the overwhelming negative atmosphere in the country. Kevin observed that while the elderly seemed energetic and content, engaging in public dancing, the youth appeared lifeless and joyless. According to him, the reason is, the youth can't find jobs or are unhappy with their lives, leading them to feel hopeless. The situation in Taiyuan has alarmed the community. Over 10 people have taken their own lives in just the past month. The local government has tried to prevent more tragedies by deploying guards, but these measures are seen as inadequate solutions to a deeper societal problem. Kevin also pointed out a cultural contrast with Taiwan, where such desperate acts are rare. He criticized China's lack of supportive social structures, unlike Taiwan, which has a network of non-profits helping those in need. Given this context, he raised concern about China's persistent pursuit of unification with Taiwan, a stance that could lead to international isolation and sanctions, potentially causing even higher unemployment. In 2023, China saw a dramatic spike in youth unemployment. The previous June, the Chinese Communist Party released alarming figures. A record 21.3% of 16 to 24-year-olds living in cities were unemployed. The CCP's National Bureau of Statistics then mysteriously stopped publishing youth unemployment data for over 4 months. Many believe the official numbers were a gross underestimate. Zhang Dandan, a Peking University scholar, published research estimating the actual youth unemployment rate could have been as high as 46.5% in March of the prior year. Kevin blames the fierce competition in Chinese society for the difficulty young people face in finding work. He points out that there are simply too few jobs for the massive number of job seekers, creating a cutthroat environment. As a result, many young people opt to pursue higher education or try their luck with the civil service exams. From what Kevin has gathered, many people make between 3,000 and 4,000 yuan, about $522 a month, with some technical positions paying a bit more, around 5,000 yuan, about $690. These wages have been stagnant for years, while the cost of living keeps climbing. Bus drivers, for instance, still only earn 3,000 yuan a month, about $414. He shares that I have a relative who only makes 3,000 yuan a month. He can't even afford to take the subway, he has to take the bus. And I think the subway is pretty cheap already. It just goes to show how tough life is for people in China. Meanwhile, the shopping malls here are ghost towns now. Besides the food courts, where people have to eat, the rest of the place is deserted. You hardly see anyone buying clothes at the high-end stores. He added, housing prices have plummeted 30 to 40%. I remember before the pandemic, you'd constantly hear ads for apartments on the radio. Now, you don't hear them anymore. The real estate market is tanking. Even foreign trade seems to be struggling. I know a friend who sells imported food, and he's losing money hand over fist. He's hundreds of thousands of yuan in debt. Foreign tourist arrivals to China continue to decline. Kevin observed that China has lost its sense of openness, highlighted by the noticeable drop in foreign visitors. Once bustling with tourists, places like Nanjing Road, Tiananmen Square, and Beijing's Sanlitun now rarely see foreigners. This change has made destinations like Japan, Taiwan, or Europe more appealing to his friends, and Cavan himself has no desire to return to China. He cites several reasons for this shift. Transactions are cumbersome due to the non-acceptance of international credit cards and the complexity of using WeChat and Alipay for foreign cards. Additionally, accessing international websites in China requires unreliable VPNs, which often fail, deterring many from visiting. That's why many foreigners are discouraged from visiting China. Moreover, Cavan's concern extends to the political climate. A close Canadian friend of Chinese descent abandoned plans to apply for a Chinese visa, wary of China's anti-espionage law. Similarly, another friend from Taiyuan, disillusioned by the restrictive environment, sought to emigrate to Europe after Canada denied him a visa, hoping for a better future for his family. The CCP's suppression of free speech is stifling. Cavan notes that free speech in China is far more restricted now than it was a decade ago, with even minor infractions leading to censorship. For instance, shortly after posting, videos discussing suicides in Taiyuan were removed from platforms like Douyin, the Chinese version of TikTok. It's not just criticism of the CCP that's censored. Social issues such as protests over unfinished buildings, unpaid wages, and suicides are also suppressed either by being limited or taken down. He explained that the CCP labels these protests as picking quarrels and provoking trouble because it's sensitive about its image. Aware of its failing governance and the economic turmoil, the CCP tightens its grip on the people's freedom to express dissenting opinions, instilling fear and a sense of oppression, which only heightens societal tensions. Cavan notes an increase in indoctrination efforts in mainland primary schools, emphasizing intense patriotism and love for the party. Students are mandated to engage in activities like wearing red scarves and attending flag-raising ceremonies, which they find pointless and uncomfortable. He contrasts this with the educational approach in the US and Canada, where students enjoy engaging field trips to various recreational and educational sites. He highlights the envy Chinese students feel towards their peers abroad and the extreme academic pressures they endure, often working late into the night, adding to the distress faced by these young students. China's public utility fees rise, public under great pressure. In China, utility charges including water, electricity, gas, and high-speed train fares have risen significantly in recent months. This comes alongside increases in the prices of daily consumer goods. As a result, the financial strain on the lower income classes is intensifying, with many struggling as their wages or pensions fail to keep pace with the escalating costs. Significant rate hikes have been reported across various regions. For instance, Guangzhou recently introduced a new water tariff scheme that spikes prices by 34%, while Shanghai saw a hike up to 50% last year. Other areas like Shaanxi's Xianyang and Anhui's Wuhu have experienced similar increases. Electricity costs in 15 provinces, including Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangdong, have surged by up to 30%. Gas prices too are climbing, with recent adjustments affecting over 100 locations in provinces such as Guangdong, Sichuan, and Jiangsu, pushing rates up by 5% to 20%. Additionally, the National Railway Group announced a nearly 20% price increase for major high-speed rail lines starting June 15. The rising costs are placing a heavy burden on residents. One local resident from Shanghai expresses distress over the 20% to 30% price jump in essential goods, stating that the majority, who are not wealthy, find these increases unbearable. The broader impact is evident as even staple items like Master Kong instant noodles have seen price hikes, trending on social media due to public concern. Residents like Mr. Zhao from Guangdong highlight the harsh reality of managing on a modest income amidst high living costs, with many turning to credit to cope. Mr. Zhang from Guangzhou notes that financial pressures persist regardless of the pandemic's status, with a monthly income of 3,000 yuan, about $414, proving insufficient. Amidst these economic challenges, the phenomenon of stagflation is taking hold, where inflation makes living costs prohibitive for consumers, while economic stagnation makes selling goods difficult. This dual pressure of rising prices and falling consumer purchasing power is exacerbating the hardships for China's ordinary citizens. Microsoft plans to relocate 800 engineers from China to Ireland? As part of a global initiative to relocate its AI and cloud computing research and development teams, U.S. tech giant Microsoft has offered employees at its China branch the opportunity to transfer to Ireland. The news, initially reported by the Wall Street Journal, has been making the rounds on Chinese social media. Microsoft has confirmed that it is offering a limited number of employees involved in machine learning and cloud computing the option to relocate to the US, Australia, New Zealand, or Ireland. Although Microsoft declined to specify the exact number of employees involved in the relocation, the Wall Street Journal estimates it to be around 700 to 800. This move comes at a time when the US is tightening restrictions on the export of advanced AI chips to China. The Business Post confirmed that Microsoft's Dublin office, which already employs over 3,500 people, will be one of the relocation destinations. Microsoft has had a presence in Ireland since 1985, and it now serves as the company's operational hub for Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. However, the tech giant did not respond to inquiries about whether it is providing housing accommodations for employees during the ongoing housing crisis. Ireland has seen a significant rise in rent due to housing shortages, an influx of newcomers, and inflation. According to Daft, a major rental website, the average rent across the country in the first quarter of this year was €1,836, marking a 4.9% increase from last year. Although rent increases have slowed in Dublin, where Microsoft's subsidiary is based, it still has the highest rents in the country. The lowest rents in Dublin are found in the western part, where a two-bedroom house costs an average of €1,754, about $1,905 per month. However, these high rents might not significantly affect IT engineers, who are among the higher earners in the region. Job websites indicate that some artificial intelligence engineers at certain companies earn more than €100,000, about $108,507 annually, with the average salary for the sector being over €60,000, about $65,104, substantially higher than the national median income of €44,000, about $47,741. CCP's borrow a boat to go to sea strategy, using money to corrupt U.S. media. The Chinese Communist Party has been strategically placing advertisements disguised as news in major international publications to promote a favorable image of China and discredit its critics. This tactic, known as borrowing a boat to go to sea, is gaining attention as tensions between China and the U.S. escalate. According to a report by the U.S. Department of Justice under the Foreign Agents Registration Act, FARA, China Daily, an English-language outlet controlled by the CCP, spent substantial amounts on advertisements in prominent U.S. magazines. Last year, it paid Time magazine about $85,000 each month and USA Today $107,500 annually to publish articles under the banner of China Watch. Additionally, the Los Angeles Times received $34,000 per month from China Daily for its Beijing Special Edition. This practice of embedding propaganda within news content has been observed in many reputable American publications. Despite claims of independence, even Western media cannot completely escape the influence of financial interests. Mr. Wu Setzi, a consultant at a Taiwanese think tank, highlighted several risks associated with this approach. He stated that it weakens the media's role as a watchdog, confuses the public about what is true or false, and conceals China's misdeeds, thereby inadvertently lending legitimacy to the CCP's governance. This situation poses a threat to values such as human rights and democracy and disrupts both global and regional order. In fact, this borrowing a boat to go to sea tactic of the CCP is long-standing. Reports suggest that the Washington Post has been publishing China Watch advertisements for over 30 years, which blurs the line between genuine news and propaganda. Records from the Foreign Agents Registration Act, FARA, reveal that China Daily's advertising spend in the U.S. rocketed from $500,000 in 2009 to over $5 million in 2019. This significant increase underscores the CCP's expanding influence abroad. Sarah Cook, a senior research analyst for East Asia at Freedom House, highlighted in her testimony that in January 2017, China Watch used official CCP rhetoric in advertisements within the Washington Post and Wall Street Journal to defame groups like Shenyang Performing Arts and Falun Gong. This marked the first time China Watch used fake news ads in mainstream U.S. media to launch attacks against Chinese dissident groups and artistic organizations. Moreover, the influence of the CCP's media strategies extends beyond the U.S. For instance, transparency issues have arisen with Taiwanese newspapers publishing content produced by CCP governmental units since around 2009. Associate Professor Hua Chunying from the University of Technology Sydney noted that this is not new information and that such practices have been exposed in Australia as well. The real question is how vigorously laws are enforced or what stance is taken. Since 2018, the U.S. government has designated 15 Chinese media outlets, including China Daily, as foreign agents. This list has grown as U.S.-China relations have worsened, leading to a decline in the CCP's major U.S. media partnerships. Mr. Wusetsi believes that to counter this, the media in democratic societies must recommit to self-regulation and robust scrutiny mechanisms. The most recent FARA report from November last year shows a sharp decrease in China Daily's U.S. advertising partners, dropping from dozens to just 4. Additionally, the Washington Post is no longer an advertising partner with China Daily, indicating a shift in the media landscape. Hua Chunying promoted to Deputy Foreign Minister, CCP's diplomatic moves attract attention. On May 27, Hua Chunying was appointed as the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, making her the third woman and the first person born in the 1970s to hold this position, following Wang Herong and Fu Ying. At 54, Hua Chunying has been the ministry's spokesperson since 2012 and was promoted to a member of the ministry's party committee and assistant minister in October 2021. Her prior roles included counselor positions at the Chinese Mission to the European Union and the Department of European Affairs. Unlike some predecessors, she has never served as an ambassador to a major country, which has triggered discussions about her promotion. Epoch Times columnist Wang He commented that her promotion is indicative of Xi Jinping's style of valuing loyalty over expertise. In Xi's diplomacy, adhering to his policies and playing the wolf warrior role is crucial. Hua Chunying, the longest-serving spokesperson, has often been controversial. For instance, during the pandemic, she claimed on Platform X that Chinese people and their lives were the top priority, a statement that faced backlash. In 2020, she claimed China is fair and objective, but netizens noticed she blinked 55 times in 49 seconds, interpreting it as a sign of lying. In response to U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken's 2022 call for China to adhere to international norms, Hua Chunying countered with 11 tweets, defending China's stance and wolf warrior diplomacy by asking, "What's wrong with being a wolf warrior?" Additionally, some media view this promotion as a signal that more CCP diplomats may adopt a bolder stance. Ding Shufan noted that Xi Jinping has crafted wolf warrior diplomacy, and Hua is following in this mold. If she makes any adjustments, it is likely Hua will adjust too. Following issues with former Minister of Foreign Affairs Qin Gang, the spotlight has been on the ministry's operations. Mr. Wang Huntao, chairman of the National Committee of the China Democracy Party, interprets Qin's dismissal and Hua's promotion as signs of Xi's indecision. Mr. Wang said that Xi Jinping initially took a tough stance towards the West but began retreating after the White Paper movement in November 2022 due to economic difficulties. Throughout 2023 and 2024, he has been in retreat but is reluctant, causing significant problems, including a deteriorating diplomatic environment. Observers generally believe Xi Jinping trusts no one in the foreign affairs system. According to Mr. Wang He, the return of Wang Yi to the position at an advanced age indicates Xi's lack of trusted personnel in foreign affairs. Mr. Wang added that unlike other CCP departments, which operate without immediate external consequences, the diplomatic system must interact with and adhere to international community norms, exposing Xi's significant shortcomings in this area. He highlighted that Xi's lack of direct experience in foreign affairs contributes to his many blind spots regarding foreign policy. Don't forget to comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. If you find the information helpful, please share this video with a friend to watch together. This will be a great source of motivation for our team to produce more and more quality and reliable videos. And also don't forget to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths. Thank you for tuning in.